Welcome to another segment of Diamond and Ruff. I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of having my good friend Phoe-nix Nebula here with me today. How are you, my friend?
Doing fine, thank you.
So good to see you.
Thanks.
So good to see you. I first want to set the intention for our conversation today. So if you don't mind, I'd like to begin reading a narrative from your bio. Is that all right? Okay. Who really needs to know what time it is? It's here in the now. That is important. I prefer the term self-initiated rather than self-taught, as life is filled with experiences and influences that shape our own personal reality, and it is the responsibility of each being to seek out answers and question things, regardless of how others may judge. Could you expand on that?
I wrote all that?
You did.
Let me see that. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So what time is it?
Right now, it's probably about 4:15.
But is it that everywhere?
I'm not sure about that.
Well,
in some other countries it isn't.
Okay. So who really knows what time it is? It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Also, we have a lot of history that has been kind of convoluted, so who really knows what time it is? Nobody can say when it all started anyway, so the present is what really matters.
Okay.
And then that's where the gift is in the present, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Self-initiated versus self-taught. It's you're gonna see things when you're ready to see them. And that largely depends on, of course, you, where you're at, if you're ready to get past certain things in life. That usually has to do with learning experiences that we came here to acquire.
Okay.
School, life, same thing to me. So we're in a large classroom, and depending on how you study your journey is going to dictate your grade and how if you pass or if you go out to stick it out summer school for a little bit.
Right.
These experiences shape our own personal reality, and that is the responsibility of each being. So the analogy I like to use for that is, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Mushroom and a pan pizza, mushroom and onions.
What about the crust?
A deep crust.
Okay. Let me see, any...
Can you tell?
oils or spices, anything like that?
Oregano.
And how do you like it cut?
It doesn't matter how it's cut.
Okay. And how do you eat it? Do you fold it or you go straight in?
I pretty much eat it bite by bite.
Crust too, or you leave the crust?
I leave the crust to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't eat it, or you just throw that out, the crust?
No, I eat it, the whole piece.
Okay. So
you can't tell?
Let's translate that into your belief system, how you were raised, your tastes, your viewpoints, the mushrooms, the way you like it put on there is your own religion.
Right.
And as we grow in life, we run into people with different size pan pizzas, different crust, different taste and flavor. And we get to experience other people's tastes or viewpoints.
Right.
In that sharing, we get to see a different flavor. Maybe I like the mushrooms, so maybe I'll incorporate that into my pie going forward.
Right.
So that is the learning and knowing who you are, first of all, to know that you like thin crust, or being flexible enough to even say, you know, some days I like thin, sometimes I like to stuff cheese in there, but these are all things we have to figure out as we go into the world, right?
Okay.
So let's see, regardless of how others may judge, so I might not like part of your pizza.
Right.
I might not like the flavor or maybe how it was cooked or whatever, but maybe there's something in there
that you may find interesting.
It might be one or two things in there, and that's fine. And if there's something off of mine, it's that, you know what I'm saying, and this is how you find the people that you resonate with. This is how you really get to where your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? What is your pizza here to do? You know, what is the aroma of it? You know what I'm saying? What does it taste? What does it feel like?
Right.
So And it's just an easy analogy, but you can apply it to anything
Right.
in life. You know
Indeed.
what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And you know, to really get to, it's like saying if you were born here by yourself, you really couldn't learn too much about yourself unless you had an outside interaction, so to
Right.
speak, right?
Okay.
Somebody to invoke this emotion,
Right.
or somebody to teach you this skill or trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the questioning, the why, is the most important thing,
Okay.
because the why brings you closer to yourself, to the
Mhm.
center point. It's like we came here kind of like
Uncertain.
very uncertain. You
Right.
know, we're in a society where everything was already in place.
Right.
So we came into it, but we didn't come into it with all that
Okay.
extra. We came in as a clean slate, and we're,
Okay.
you know, that's where the joy, you know, little kids running around happy.
Right.
And manifestation is easy then.
Right.
It's like you get that ice cream, you know how to work your parents a little bit, you know
Mhm.
how to let things go,
Mhm.
you know?
Right.
But as we grow up in the society, or whatever culture you're in, whatever, we're groomed in a certain way,
Okay. Right.
you know? So it goes back to what time it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So what time it is kind of works back into that, because we're at a time now where people are seeing and experiencing things beyond physical reality.
Okay.
And the old way of doing things is not quite the way we see things going in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of change, right? The pizza is changing. The temperature of the oven is changing. The ingredients, where they come from, all that is changing. So the why becomes the most important. Why am I here now? What am I here to do right now? You
Right.
know, what am I experiencing, and how do I make that make sense?
And at that point, we need to make room for adjustment.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the essence of that statement,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Okay. Who is Phoe-nix Nebula?
Who? I mean,
what?
we are a lot of things at many times. For me personally, my purpose is to make the world a beautiful place
Okay.
based on my experiences. And it doesn't always have to be the ugly,
Right.
but sometimes that's where the most important and eye-opening experiences and life changes happen. Whether it be, you know, loss in family or relationship, or maybe even a job or something that you
Right.
felt attached to, you know. But who I am is a student.
Okay.
And I could just leave it right there, really, because it's not really that complicated anymore,
Okay.
you know?
Yes. Let's talk about art.
Art.
Right. The last time we spoke, I referred to you as an artist.
Hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
problems with that.
Okay, because you have this superhuman ability, and we're going to take a look at some of the art pieces that you created a little bit later in the show. Who influenced your or helped foster your interest in the arts?
Early on, it was my mother. She had me in the music band,
Okay.
played trumpet for a while. That was something that ran in my family on my father's side. And my mom, she used to draw, but I remember one day seeing a picture that she did while she was in high school.
Right.
And I looked at that and I said, wow, you know, it's one of those things where you just take and say, well, I guess let me try this real quick.
Okay.
But then there's school as well. You have your influences at school. Miss Burns was one of my favorite art teachers, you know, because she said one thing that I've never heard before. She was like, don't go to art school. And I was like, you sure you should be telling me something like that? It's not the normal, you know, and this is part of those breadcrumbs that you find.
Okay.
Because you ask, why would she say that? And then when I asked her, she was like, it'll corrupt your talent. And then the why is, well, why is that? Why would something or anybody want to corrupt something and change it or alter it to something that's not natural? So that
Right.
begins another journey in itself.
Okay.
You know, But I went to school for a year, Temple. I was going to go to the art school, but you got to go through all the BS. I just say, you know, when they charge you up and get your pockets, you know what I'm saying,
Yes,
challenge
indeed.
your commitment and all that.
Yes.
And it's not about the commitment. It's more about the time and the resources, right?
Okay.
But what I learned was she was right. There's a certain conditioning that happens, but everything has a duality to it.
Okay.
So I don't knock it because I did learn a lot as far as the craft is concerned. There's different things I wasn't aware of
Okay.
that I did pick up, but I could see where she was talking about. They were pulling me away from,
Right.
you know, my own creative essence, so to
Right.
speak.
And speaking of your creativity, what style of art do you create? Is there a particular name for it?
Kind of like the boy, what's his name? MMA, Israel. I'm just the last style bender with it. You know, it's like
Oh, okay.
I really have dived into so many different mediums, and spirit being the forefront as far as mediumship.
Mhm,
You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? But I don't look at it like the director as if this is Afrofuturism.
Right.
Like it is and it isn't. You know, because I'm not here to tell him that that's really wrong.
Right.
To look at it that way.
Okay.
If that's what he picks up off of, that's fine. But for me, I just look at it as now.
Okay.
This is what's going on now.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As far as translating what I see and how I feel about the world,
Okay.
and how I'm growing and how I'm translating it.
Right. Okay. This a type of work
Yeah.
requires a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to both myself and our audience
Mhm.
about your process.
The process.
Yes.
Ooh. The process is ongoing. It'll change as you mature, of course. You'll find ways to trim it down and all that. But the process really is what's the good word for it? I would say a vulnerability.
Mhm.
A vulnerability, first of all, to even express. That's hard for a lot of people. I don't care what medium it is. When you're first starting, sometimes it's hard for people to even speak,
Okay.
you know, in a public way. So
Right.
you have to be open and vulnerable to not only give, but to receive.
Mhm.
And I generally like to be on the receiving end when I'm dealing with the spiritual work I do, because it's more spiritual than anything.
I love that.
The process is really sitting with yourself
Right.
and asking, why is this particular vibration coming my way, and what am I here to do with that?
Mhm.
Silence is key, but it's really an awareness over time that you learn about yourself. You learn that there's different ways that spirit talks to you, whether it be through music.
Mhm.
You might be. I was in Target the other day,
Okay.
and I'm walking down the aisle. It was just, and this is how I knew. You know, it's like extra confirmation I already knew. I was like, spirit always talks through music. So I walked into Target. I did a self check. I was like, how do I feel today? As soon as I said that, I kid you not, I'm walking down the center of the aisle, the big one, and Al Green pops on, and I was like, oh yeah, that's. So it's telling me, it's just like a reminder almost.
Right.
You know, another breadcrumb or a feather on the path.
Okay.
But these little hints are all over the place
Mhm.
if we're willing to receive them
Right.
as such, you know.
Absolutely. Is there a particular technique, a specific technique that you use while crafting these beautiful pieces?
I will
Art.
say maybe sketch work.
Okay.
It always starts with the pencil
Mhm.
and just feeling it out first. It
Okay.
doesn't always have to look exactly like, but you want to kind of feel out whatever it is you're feeling, right? Even that's like a rough draft, or
Mhm.
even if music, you're just playing a certain chord or something, and then you're starting to piece things together as you become more internal with it and silent, you know.
Okay.
But just that rough draft, because I always find that those are the best. Like the energy on them, the everything on it is just beautiful. Even if it's not the finished piece, there's just something about that first birthing, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, bringing it across from that unseen to the seen.
Okay.
You know,
Speaking about the birthing process,
Hmm.
right? How long does it typically take for each piece from start to finish?
Okay, we're back to time again.
Yeah, I'm
There
just
is no
more-
time.
There is no time. Okay.
In my studies, I found a really great quote. It was left by the Mayans as far as their outlook on being on planet Earth, and it say, art is time. And if you talk to I'm sure you've had another artist, but if you ask them that question, there's really an absence of time in the creation of things.
Right.
Because it's like one of those things, you ever been on a phone call or something with somebody and you're just really into it, chopping it up, and next thing you know, like 5 hours have gone by.
Right.
You just don't even notice it.
Okay.
So it leads you to the fact, is this really an illusion of time, or is it more just a process than anything else?
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is because I am not an artist. You know, I don't
Are you
have
sure
that.
about that?
Well, not in this fashion.
Okay.
You know, I create in a different way. I'm a creative designer. I design sets. I'm an event planner. You know, I do those sorts of things.
Well, is that art?
It
makes
it's
things
not,
beautiful.
It's easy for me,
Well,
but for someone else it may not be.
of course. So that's a
Right.
trademark kind of an art.
Right.
You should always look at that
Right.
in the same sense. It doesn't have to be the same, and that's where that pizza comes back in. You know what I'm saying? You know, some days you might have a big pan, some days it's the little Stofers, whatever. You know, some things are a mini pizza for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can just put that in there, but there's something that we all do intuitively, innately, that excites you.
Okay.
You know, that just brings you peace when you do it.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and it's like grandma's cooking
Right.
with that apron on, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what's she putting in there? I don't get up on Sundays,
Right.
but those pancakes, you know, it's like 6 in the morning. You know, it's going down. It's the love that you have for whatever it is you do that makes it art.
Right. And often it can be a humbling experience.
As far as
Whether it being something that's very new to you. For example, I
Oh,
always
yes.
had an interest in knitting.
yeah.
I always had an interest in art. I may decide at some point to take an art class.
Right.
You know, be it painting or molding. I don't know just yet. But I need to fill time and space.
Yeah, that goes back to being vulnerable.
Right.
To being the student.
And you have to be comfortable in that space.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to be the student. You have to
Exactly.
be willing to say, I don't know.
Exactly.
And that's the key to it all. Because even in the process, when I'm doing this, I don't know really how these are going to turn out.
Right.
But I trust that how I'm being shown and what I'm feeling and how I'm being guided is that walk by faith and not by sight.
I love it.
You know?
Absolutely.
So it's that's part of the process.
I can relate to that process.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah. So you just never really know how it's going to turn out. I mean, what would be the fun in that anyway? How would you grow or get anything from that
Right.
if you couldn't surprise yourself?
Right. Have you ever been disappointed by
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
How often does that happen?
well, let me just say it's not a disappointment.
Okay.
It's a learning curve.
Okay.
You know, because I just picked up clay now. You know, I loved clay before, but I picked it up and the cracks came back. I was like remembering all the stuff that goes wrong with clay. So, you know, again, it's like people can see you another way, and that's the important thing about, regardless of the judgment and everything, especially on yourself, it doesn't matter because you're learning something about yourself.
Right.
Do you have
But
the
sometimes
patience?
we can be our worst critic.
Just all day long,
Right.
like, you know, you're just sitting there and nobody thinks you're wrong, but you in the back of your head just beating yourself up for no
true.
reason, you know?
So true.
And that's what holds a lot of people back. And once that's gone, it's sky's the limit, stars, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Okay.
That part.
All right. Get it. Now, you're also an author, right, of a book?
Yeah, a couple books.
I would love to have you share your book with us today, but we will feature it in the program, all right? The name of your book is A Diary of a Soulmate. Talk about the development of Diary of a Soulmate and what...
Didn't plan it.
You didn't plan it.
Most things go like that. So
Okay.
very impromptu.
Going back to time.
It's always in the moment.
Right.
It's always in the moment. And it's another one of those things where this was a private collection I had.
Okay.
During a relationship. This is how I express myself.
Okay.
You know, I write these nice, you know, just sit down and be like, you know, just send it on. It's one of those little puppy love kind of
It's
things
a
almost.
diary.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty much. But this is what we shared over that time span.
Okay.
If you want to say time. So after that dissipated and we move on a little bit further, I remember showing a group of friends, these 3 women that I used to talk to over at Starbucks. We would get together and we would just chop it up, you know. And they read one. It was like, oh, this is beautiful, you know, blah, blah, blah. But there again, there's that sharing of that pizza. There was something in there that they liked that was on top of there, you know. And I showed them the rest, and it was like, well, why aren't you doing something with these? And then it was like there was artwork from that time as well that I had done. It wasn't quite to the standard of where I was, but it was relevant to where that energy was.
Okay.
So I just threw it all together, learned the process of editing, self-publishing at first, and then went to a first publishing up in New York just to feel what that process was like, get my feet wet in that department, and not really even an expectation for it, like, oh, bestseller, we're gonna do this and do that. Like, you should have that mind state where you're confident that it's that good. But at the end of the day, it was more so for, one, the healing of that relationship and seeing the beauty of it all,
Right.
and just having that accomplishment that, yeah, I can do this now,
Right.
you know?
You do a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
With your work,
Yeah,
right?
not just physically either.
Okay. That's a good thing, right?
Well,
Networking and getting the exposure both in the city of Philadelphia and on the outskirts in other cities. Where have you traveled and what have you participated in? I know that you've participated in Comic-Con, right?
well, you know, social media makes it beautiful. Art's pretty much been around the world.
Yeah.
You know,
Good. Congratulations.
as far as that, thank you. And as far as being received in such a way, you know, traveling physically as far as the Comic-Cons, those are anywhere from New York to Virginia, I guess. We keep it there, but I've been down to Atlanta as well.
Okay.
And anywhere in between there, you know, we stopped in North Carolina here and there, or Ohio sometimes, you know. So it's a fair mix as far as the traveling is concerned, but we're looking to expand a lot more as far as actually meeting people and being there real time. Is a different feel,
Right.
you know. It brings something else out of your art. And that's what that cycle has done for me, you know, seeing different people and what they like, what they don't like. And just seeing things through other people's lenses and where they are in life helps you with that why. Oh, I see why now because this situation came up and this art kind of translates with that. So now I get a chance to put more meaning behind it.
Right.
Now that the sketch work is done,
Okay.
oh, okay, now we're walking by sight, basically.
Okay. I want to take a break
Okay.
for a moment because I think our audience is just as anxious as I am for you to share your pieces. So we'll take a break and we'll come right back. I love all of the pieces that you have on display, and there's so much more that you have. I wish we could display all of the pieces along this wall here. But I think in addition to this piece here, the art piece in that corner right.
Sophia.
Let's talk about Sophia.
She was one of the first. This is part of the fairy collection.
Okay.
All right. Now, it's like one of them things where you got to be vulnerable because it's like the last thing I thought I'd be doing, right?
Okay.
Work with some fairies, right?
Right.
But voila, there's a whole world that I explored with these, and my imagination had a very vast place to play with, as well as interacting with these energies. They all had a different vibration and energy. She came through, she was one of the first, she came through as like a warrior, fairy kind of protective energy.
Okay.
And as with anything, it's a relationship. So as the relationship grows, you get to learn and know about each other. because you treated it such. It's like when you had invisible friends and stuff like that, right? But it was real, right?
We all had those, right?
Yeah,
I
but
think.
were they really? You know, the imagination, the mind.
Well, this is true, right?
You know, so as she became a guardian over pregnant mothers as well, a protector over children. You know, so this is for someone who had maybe they're experiencing abuse or something of that, because these fairies don't play around because of the nature they came in. They came in through like a darker tone to deal with the, you know what I'm saying? Whereas some of the other ones are a little bit more playful. These are very serious about the issues underlining and the healing behind it as well. You understand? So that's her function. It's just more of a motherly, protective energy.
Very nice.
Anything else kind of stick out? Because we go through it.
Let's talk about the fairies on the bottom, and then we'll make our way up.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, let's do this. Right behind it is crochet. It's funny you were talking about knitting before. Crochet is that kind of, here we go. Crochet is a spider.
Wow.
But she represents a sensitivity to things. This is very much back to leading by faith and not by sight.
Right, right. And
being in tune with your environment. The thing about spiders, they carry their home with them with their webs and things like that. So it's got that kind of an impact on it. The skulls and all that, that's just the balance between life and death, right?
Okay.
That's the, that brings you back to the realization of how short it is, the appreciation behind the life, and that there's like an ancestry to it. You know, there's a lineage behind all
Understood.
that. You know, traveling down the lines.
Right.
You know, and also, what was her other one? Discernment. Discernment.
That's so important to have.
Okay, so it's like, could you tell the difference if you were blind between an actual fly in your web or a leaf in the wind?
Okay.
Right? So it brings you there. Okay. All right. The next one is Dreamcatcher. She basically does exactly what her name is.
Okay.
She's a guardian over dreams.
Beautiful.
The interpretation of, going into, the intentions behind it, the messages, helping in a, you've had a crazy dream before. You're like, what the heck was that?
Right.
Well, sitting with this energy helps you kind of decode what was being shown to you.
Okay.
From your own subconscious mind, right?
Okay.
Or it could be a guide or ancestor as well. But she has that kind of witchy vibe as well, you know. So moving on, let's see who we have behind her. Solace. She's one of my favorites. She was about the second one I did. She has that, it's a quiet energy.
Okay.
It's a silent energy. It's a peaceful energy.
Right.
You know, it's just more of that bat-like seeing by faith, by sight again.
Okay.
So this is how a lot of these connect. They'll have certain attributes where you'd be like, oh, well, that must be her sister if you want to.
Okay.
You know?
But now she looks like she has some type of like feline characteristics in her face.
Well, there and again, it's open to interpretation.
Okay.
Because maybe there's something that speaks to her, that's speaking to you, that will be a communication to your growth or development, right? Okay. So this is how you treat the art, basically. You know, I'm not here to say you're wrong, you know, get out of here.
But treat it with respect.
You know, the one thing that's very important that I've learned from all this is, although we go through these experiences, it's not about taking yourself too serious at the end of the day. You know, these are meant to be enjoyed and experienced, not always in such a somber way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they can help with these attributes.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
So that's Solace.
Right.
This is actually a deity a little bit more modern. Her name is Santa Muerte from Mexico.
She looks like a goddess.
Well, they're all goddesses.
Yeah, they are.
They're all pretty much goddesses.
Right.
But this goddess spoke to me really, because see, doing the mythology, you really have to look at what is in the world as far as what was already there, what the current one is. She's a little bit later as far as her her development and translation. These is like drug warlords down there, cartels. They
Right.
love her, but just because it's because excuse me, her energy is more connected with speaking with loved ones that are passed on and making sure that they find their resting place.
Solace.
Santa Morte.
Santa Morte. Okay.
So this would be like the pouring of libations,
Okay.
if you've ever heard that, or spitting of the rum.
Right.
And the cigar is well known throughout, like the Palo and any
Right.
Santeria.
And this is a spirit. You're referring to a spiritual practice.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So she's one of the more classical. In a sense, she's not as new as the rest of these.
Right.
This is the high priestess kind of energy, but I call this the Lady of the Shrine.
Okay.
All about silence,
Mm-hmm.
all about receiving messages. This is the energy that knows everything but says nothing.
Okay.
It teaches you to go within and receive your messages or downloads, right? The stork represents the grace, the wisdom behind everything. We have the animal kingdom is very prevalent in the fairy kingdom as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the praying mantis. This is a strength,
Mm-hmm.
a certain strength to
Right.
realize it's not about being all nice and there's times when you gotta get your game face
Right.
on,
Right.
But the praying also is also very significant because this is where you go to maybe leave offerings or petitions to whomever, as a sign of gratitude.
Would you say that this particular piece represents like the cycle of life? I'm sure all of them do, but would you say that about that particular piece?
Well, you could say that.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You
okay.
could say that.
Right.
If that's
Interpretation.
what you're feeling. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, cycles definitely indeed with the water and the symbol for the moon. That's a symbol you'll see in many cultures, especially the Egyptian culture. But we're talking about moon cycles, So even for women, this is the regulation of being mindful of your cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean period. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that quiet contemplation during that time,
Right.
because that's a very vulnerable state.
Okay.
You understand?
Indeed.
So we have, this is the dance. I just want to call it the dance.
Okay.
Between life, death, and birth.
Beautiful.
It pretty much speaks for itself.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the dual nature of things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a beginning, has an ending.
Right.
And then the middle part is what we would call life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where death and birth are the gateways. But what is a death but a birth?
Right.
So it reminds you of that cycle. And during this time, I had met, this dolphin is actually a vaquita, and this vaquita is supposed to be extinct now.
Oh.
So it was one of those breadcrumbs. I said, what? It kind of looked empty there, and then it was like, put that vaquita in there. Real good friend I was talking to at the time, real good friend. We were just cutting up, and that just popped in there. And since it's supposed to be extinct, it's like, that represents that cycle as well. Some things come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like honoring that energy as well, But yeah, that one took a while.
Okay.
I'll just say that,
Okay.
as far as time-wise. This is a fiery, feminine aspect that I kind of found within myself, but just permeating as time goes on and seeing how things are changing, the cycles of life. This is free expression. This is the sensuality. This is the outside of the box kind of
Right.
feel. This is liberation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that one also is self-explanatory, but this is talking about the meaning behind the act.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not only that, what goes on beforehand, what goes on afterwards. There's a whole cycle behind that. as we're so caught up in just this.
Right.
There's an entire realm of energy exchange that's going on all levels. But this is more of a creative expression of how you feel, you know, and this is what people don't get to see. You see people at work one way, but you know at home it's some other way, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it has that kind of a dark tint to it, but that allows for free expression of what really excites and motivates you.
Right.
You know? And this is also another elemental, not so much a fairy, but an entity. These three right here are what I consider my guardians, my own personal guardians. That they represent the air. I must have left the earth one at home, but I don't see them in here. But
well, we can show that a little later on, after the show. Whatever you want, whatever additional pieces you want to share. Okay.
Also about emotions. People kind of say that water is more emotional, but water is more about knowledge, thirst for knowledge, retaining knowledge.
Right.
Shout out to Planet Remix. The hard shell, you think of Cancer, you think of Scorpio, you think of Pisces.
Right.
So this is also intuitive. This is feeling the world around you, in a sense, and getting in touch with your emotional nature. So any one of these can be used in any sort of way that you would choose to interact. The choice is yours. At the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
So it might be a combination of this or that, or this one or this one, but these are the first of this collection right here. These are the first ones that came out.
Now, can we move over here to this gentleman here?
Absolutely.
Okay, this particular painting is one of my favorites of yours.
Okay.
Okay, I definitely want to highlight this piece here. Let's talk about this gentleman here.
Let's talk about him. That is the genie in the bottle. You've heard the mythology.
Right.
What do you do to the genie in the bottle? What does he do?
You rub the bottle.
And what happens?
With the intention, I guess some people pray, some people wish, and their expectation is to receive.
It's a beautiful story though, right?
It sure is.
Okay. So
if you believe in genies.
Well, yeah, I definitely do.
Okay.
I definitely do.
Okay.
Because we're going to look at it a different way now.
Okay.
Okay? Because we're talking about perspectives as well.
Right.
The lamp.
Okay.
Is the physical body. It is what houses the spirit, the soul, depending on what you believe in.
Right.
Now, depending on what you believe in, this might be your first rodeo here on planet Earth. But a lot of people agree that they've had other lives, right? So what is behind that physical shell that reappears? How old is it? That is the genie. That is your inner genius. That is your soul and your spirit.
Okay.
On an ancient level.
Okay.
That is the totality of you. Remember we were talking about who are you? Well, shoot, we could really dive in like that. We might fall out and die to see all the stuff we've or experienced, or how we really look, or so that's what that kind of invokes. Is that reminder that it's more than just what we see on the outside.
Okay.
Because if you see the lamp, I did it on purpose like that it's not so flashy.
Okay.
You know.
Right.
But when you rub your own lamp, when you rely on yourself, when you make those wishes, those affirmations, all your manifestations come from within.
Absolutely.
Right?
Indeed. So now I want to quickly move through the top row here, ask you to render your social media platforms to our audience, and then we'll close out the show.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll run through real quick.
Yes.
And I'll just
Let's
play
start
some,
here. Let's start here.
I'll just play some other ones up. We won't explain them, but just for the visual.
Okay.
I don't want to cheat anybody here.
Right.
All right. So this one right here, inspired a little bit by the Hindu mythology, of course the fairies, but her name is Vanna,
Okay.
short for Nirvana.
Okay.
Another kind of a blind with the eyes closed.
Right.
This is a individual who has many trades
Okay.
and has learned to encompass many different art forms into one and find peace. The peace that comes from mastering your art.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the ability to now manipulate the outside world in such a way, coming from the inner being of
Excellent.
stillness of peace.
Excellent.
Right?
How about this piece here?
Just, you know, with these acrylics, those are very much, this is a different process. That is just straight paint, whatever I see the next day.
Okay.
Kind of thing. I'll leave it, I'll come back to it. But the mermaids came through. The mermaids are just another aspect of self. Like,
Okay.
you know, our that watery nature. You'll hear a lot of mythology about Yemanye or Oya or just any mythical kind of creature that has a certain magic behind it.
Okay.
It's more of a remembrance of maybe Atlantis.
Okay.
It'll invoke those kind of memories within you. I've heard a lot behind it, but
Okay.
you know, it's just a mermaid at first, but
Okay.
it's a little bit more than that.
Okay.
You know.
All right. And finally,
That was watercolor, pastel, and a whole lot of other ish, right?
okay.
That was one of the very first fairies I did. It was more of an experimentation, but I see for me it was that joy, that gratitude of finding something new to express,
Okay.
a different modality to go through. What does that look like?
Right.
Now, this picture is also modeled after Diary of a Soulmate.
Okay.
That whole relationship
Okay.
bears very striking resemblance.
Okay.
And that's when I knew my subconscious mind was at work, because why is that coming up? Again, the why.
Okay.
Oh, I see why.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get to not just words, but visually encapsulate how I felt about that, regardless of how it turned out.
Okay.
This is how you heal those.
Okay.
It comes with a lot of forgiveness and release. So
Okay.
she's being released from the underworld, basically,
Okay.
from the beneath the surface of things,
Okay.
and is free with all these colorful expressions of self
Very good.
that you've learned. Because
Very good.
you know you need that black in the background
Absolutely.
to have them colors show
Absolutely.
up. You know.
Okay. So I want to allow the audience to subconsciously reach out to you if they
Okay.
have any questions, any interest in your artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I, you know, I enjoy you, and I need you to render your social media platform.
Okay. IG is where you'll find me the
Okay.
most as far as the new work.
Okay.
And that's at Phoe-nix.nebula.9, right? Facebook sometimes under the same name, but it's got a hyphen, PHOE-NIX, Nebula. And you find me on Clubhouse, same thing.
Okay.
I do a lot of rooms over there with a lot of different beautiful people. We talk about things of this nature. You know, we really collaborate and help each other grow
Okay.
on that platform. So that's a
Excellent.
place where we really get to chop it up about
Excellent.
what's really going on.
Excellent. Thank you once again.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful work. And thanks for joining us.
How you choose to see yourself means everything in life. And being that I was always a big comic book fan, and you know, with the art and just the lover of it in general, it's like in life we get the chance to define ourselves and not have other people define who we are. And you take on a role where you create who you want to be, even if you're not really there yet. So you're setting the stage for your development as you go. And I didn't know I was doing this. I did it very intuitively. I was on Facebook. I was getting ready to go to Atlanta. And I said, you know, I need something more that defines me. And Phoe-nix Nebula just popped in my head. It was one of those things where it's like a whisper in your ear.
Okay.
You know, call it from God or your higher self. But I wrote out with it because it sounds to me like a superhero kind of a name. And I everybody has gifts and talents, whether they're on the surface or latent, but to evolve and change, to be taken apart, to have life situations throw you in a place where it's very dark, and to rise back out of that is the Phoenix part. The hyphen that I put in there, the NIX is phonetic for Nick. So I do carry the appreciation for the old path, the old journey. That's like the butterfly appreciated the cocoon it was in the journey of the caterpillar. And the nebula is, you know, we're universal. People, you know, we shouldn't limit ourselves to a block, a city, a town, when we're cosmic beings. You feel what I'm saying? And a nebula is just a nebula. It's like a universe. And that lets you know that there's so much to yourself that you have left to explore. There's endless possibilities there, potential. You know what I'm saying? Journeys that'll show you parts of yourself that'll surprise even you about your damn self. You know what I'm saying? So putting that together set the stage for the journey that I had from 2010 to now. Very spiritual journey. Taking time to detach from the world and what everybody else was saying to really come to my own truth and understanding about things. And a big part of that was through art. You go to school and you study, and when you come out of these schools, it's up to you to use your imagination to take it another step up. You know what I'm saying? It's not about being a follower. It's about, you know, just like your mom or your dad or anybody else, they teach you something and they want you to take it further. So it's like this, you know, when I was studying Egypt at the time, and the greatness of that and that part of myself, I realized we're not going to go back to building pyramids again and living in the desert, because our ancestors would say, we've already done that. What are you going to do now? What's next? You know what I'm saying? What's next? It's like, let's be 100 here. We gave you this imagination for a reason. So with all that being said, my spiritual practice is infused in the arts.
Okay.
And just like my outlook on religion, I don't believe these to be separate, but fragments that you put together. And you take from each fragment what works for you in your life. I like to use the analogy of pizza. It's very simple. Everybody pretty much likes pizza, but not everybody likes anchovies or pepperoni or pineapples. So throughout life, you find your own ingredients until you find the taste that you like. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody has their own pizza, their own flavor, and you can try other people's flavor, see if you like what they say. And you might not like certain things, but you might find a little something in there that, you know, I like that. I'm gonna add that to mine and see what that does. You know what I'm saying? Just to evolve the flavor of what you have going on already. So from Christianity to Buddhism to whatever practice I could find and get my hands on, I would dive into it. I would live it. It's not lip service, you know what I'm saying? You got to walk the path. That's that whole walking the path, knowing the path thing. To see what works for you and then see how you could transmute that even further. And then you come up with this recipe that's totally 100% unique. You know, it's not about being like anybody else. It's about being your genuine self, because there's nothing like you in the planet, in the universe. So why wouldn't you live in that truth? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what a lot of people, especially during this quarantine, had to face about themselves, or things changing the way they were. And be okay with that, accepting your light, your dark, your talents as well as your weaknesses, and finding ways to tweak these. You know what I'm saying? And making it work for you. So my spiritual practice is nothing but really personal growth at the end of the day, and how I can take a negative and turn it to a positive. I could take a positive and make it 2 positives, 3 positives, you know what I'm saying, off until I feel where I'm at peace with who I am. When you set out on your journey to discover who you are, the creator, universe, God, whatever you want to say, it's going to put people in your path that'll help you along the way. And I always wonder why I came up with the name Unique Individuals, Inc., INK, Inc. And that's because everybody that I've met along my path, I realized were unique characters in my story and me in their story. And each encounter was a different level of understanding my own gifts and trusting these are things that push you out of your comfort zone. So to embrace each person and embrace the process of not looking forward to the outcome or the end of the journey, but to enjoy the journey and see the little details that you might miss trying to rush through things, you find that there's a connectivity with everybody in some sort of way that nothing is really separate. And that sometimes you need somebody to show you in a different way, or you might need to hear something that only this person could specifically tell you in the right way or show you that would click in your thick head. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that I would be, as one of my friends said, become king of the fairy realm. And what this is in a scientific term is the quantum physics or mechanics of the universe. We're just talking about energy, nothing but energy. Each pantheon of each great culture is basically transmitting the same thing, just in their own perspective of energy. So you have Isis, then you have Lilith, then you have, you might have, what's her name, Kali. Then you have all these different names for the same type of energy. You might have Oshun for Hathor, so they're all interchangeable. That's the disclaimer for that. So with these pictures, these were when I started my healing was through the fairy realm, because that's what they do. Trust in your knowing. It's not about belief anymore. We're not in the age of Pisces. We're in the age of Aquarius, which is I know. So there is a part of us that we haven't tapped into for a while, for a long time, generations past. It's like a culmination of events and whatnot. But now it's about knowing who you are and what you're capable of. So you have to trust in your knowing. You have to trust in your intuition. You have to trust that you're, even if it doesn't work out, that was still the right decision to make. And that not everything that goes south is not eventually going to lead you back up north. And trusting the process. You can't dictate the outcome of the journey. You can only enjoy it moment by moment. It's all about being in the moment. That's all you have. That's where the power lies. You know what I'm saying? You get too caught up in the future, anxiety or stress. You get too caught in the past, you get caught in the cycle. But in the moment, you have the ability to shape each preceding moment if you choose to carry a certain vibration.